Hey guys, I hope you are well. This is Like a Hero, and I have a new build video for you guys today, an updated one. This is a version 2.0 of my last build, which was the Poison Imbuement build. However, this one is more designed for those higher tier sigils that you might be doing, those 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. I currently am doing around the 50 mark, the high 40s, and the low 50s. But I feel like I'm just clearing the content very easily, and I have high confidence that you can clear this all the way up to the 70s, the 80s, and 90s here. We're first going to show the gear here, then followed by the skill tree, and lastly the Paragon tree. I'm going to timestamp these for your convenience. Be sure to check the link in the description to follow me over on kick.com/likehero. I stream there nightly, so make sure to drop a follow to be notified when I go live. On the helmet, I have 4 ranks of Poison Imbuement. You want to have Poison Imbuement on your helmet. The other ones, kind of up to you. I would say that cooldown reduction is a must, but I would definitely change the lifelong kill there for just flat life percentage. For the aspect, it's definitely the aspect of might there. That's basic skills, grant 20% damage reduction for those up to 6 seconds. You want to just make sure you're reminding yourself to use that basic skill often. You literally have to throw out one of your puncture blades and that's it. So here's where we start varying from my previous build, and that's going to start with the chest piece here. Damage reduction from poison enemies, maximum life, total armor. I have the 20 all stats, which I really like that 20 all stats. However, you could also get another damage reduction from close enemies there instead. For the aspect here, it is the quickening aspect. Basically, there is a smoke grenade that is dropped at the end of your dash. So you're going to want to dash in, stun everything. That gives you time to drop your trap, and then you could unleash your damage. As far as gems go, I'm using all topaz ones, but I do like, and I'm leaning towards switching permanently to just maximum life, the red gems on all my armor slots. But the choice is yours. It's not expensive to experiment with either or. For my gloves, I have the lucky hit chance at 10%, 3 ranks of twisting blades, attack speed, and critical strike chance. The aspect here is the corruption aspect, which makes my imbuement skills have increased potency. This is why it's also important to have that lucky hit chance, and we'll talk about that more when we get to our weapons for our aspects there. On the pants, this is the dream roll pants for me here, especially as I started getting into the higher nightmare sigils. I have total armor roll, 17% damage reduction from close enemies, damage reduction from poison enemies, and just flat damage reduction. This is ideally what you'd want to have. So you want to roll something with 3 of those things and then roll that missing 4th armor or damage reduction afterwards. For the pants here, I'm kind of torn between 2 aspects. We're able to get CC through their puncture abilities, so we're slowing the enemies every second cast with that. So taking 25% less damage from crocodile enemies is pretty easy to get in that sense. However, I've been using the Umbrious aspect, which is critical strikes with marksman skills. Again, our puncture ability have a 60% chance here, or up to 60, to grant us a dark shroud. You can get multiple dark shrouds, and each one of those is giving you 8 damage resistance flat on the next attack. I will keep testing this out, but I think it's a toss-up between both of them. For the boots here, you're going to want movement speed, you're going to want damage reduction while injured, and ranks of dash. The reason ranks of dash is important here because higher ranks of dash does decrease the cooldown on your dash ability, and we want that to be dashing around, dropping that smoke grenade because of the aspect that we have on our chest, and it gives you that great survivability that you need, especially when you're pushing those 60s, 70s, and 80s, right? And hopefully those 100s eventually. You could take on all stats instead of the flat dexterity as well. On this bow as well, another instead of the dexterity that I have here, all stats would be ideal. Critical strike damage, core skill damage, vulnerable damage, and the aspect of twisting blades here or the blade dancers aspect. This is really good bow. The only thing I would upgrade here is the higher item level. Your gems are going to be the green gems, the emeralds, for the increased critical strike damage against vulnerable enemies. For the neck, it's a disobedience aspect here, as well as more movement speed. We want to be moving around more, higher survivability, right? We can move faster through those dungeons. Damage reduction, super important. Energy cost reduction, and 3 ranks to imbuement skills. Higher imbuement, higher poison imbuement means more damage. For our first ring, we have critical strike damage, critical strike chance, vulnerable damage, and poison damage. For our aspect, it is the Edge Master's aspect. Skills deal up to 20% increased damage based on your available primary resource. With Inner Sight that we have in this build, that's going to be proccing a lot. I would prefer, instead of the increased poison damage, I would definitely want lucky hit chance. Right now, my lucky hit chance with my imbuement is at around 40%, but definitely I would like to get that higher. For the second ring, it's the same stats: vulnerable damage, crit strike damage, critical strike chance. Those are the ones that you're going to want on both your rings. And instead of the poison damage on both those rings, you want lucky hit chance. The aspect is the vengeful aspect, and that's making an enemy vulnerable, has up to 50% chance to grant 3% critical strike chance for 3 seconds up to 9 seconds. Reason we need all that lucky hit chance is because of our aspects that we have on our weapons here. The aspect on our first weapon is the aspect of bursting venoms. That has lucky hit for critical strikes with poison imbued skills have a chance, 10% chance, to create a toxic pool that deals 5,555 poisoning damage to over 3 seconds to enemies within it. Now, while you're standing in that poison imbuement, your poison imbuement skill has no cooldown. That means you can just press it infinitely and no charges, which means you can cast Twisting Blades, imbued Twisting Blades infinitely as well while you're in that pool. Now, we'll be casting that imbuement infinitely because of the unstable imbuements aspect on our other sword, which is when we cast the imbuement, an explosion around us occurs that applies the imbuement effects, that poison effect, on enemies, dealing that 2082 damage as well. Stats on your swords are going to be vulnerable damage for sure, all stats, critical strike damage, and either main stat or a core skill damage as that fourth roll. So mine are pretty good, they're decent, but I would definitely like those rather. For our specialization, we're taking Inner Sight. That synergizes well with our Edge Masters, but also with the imbuement spam, and we're doing that in limited poison imbued Twisting Blades spam. For our basic skill, we're taking Puncture. That's going to generate energy for us, but it's also going to be that on-demand slow. Because we're taking not only Enhanced, but we're taking Fundamental, we're going to cause that vulnerable damage, and we really want to focus on that in our stats. For our core skills, of course, it's Twisting Blades. You want to get this as high as you can possibly. Of course, your 5 points, but also from skill points as well. We're taking Advanced Twisting Blades as well. After that, we're taking Sturdy, 3/3 on Sturdy. That's just damage reduction, and Siphoning Strikes. That's our lifesteal. Very important on a rogue build. We do have the boots that give us 2 charges of Shadow Step, and we're going to combine that with Shadow Step, also increasing our critical strike with Enhanced Shadow Step, as well as Methodical Shadow Step, which we stun the enemy. That's just a little bit of survivability when we're going in. Weapon Mastery, 3/3 there. Dash, we have that extra dash from our boots. So dash is important in this case because the higher rank of dash, the lower cooldown, and that lets us get in and out, but as well as the Enhanced Shadow Step that increases our crit strike damage. We have 1 point in Poison Trap. Then we have Enhanced Poison Trap to knock the enemies down. And then we have the Subverting Poison Trap, which increases our damage by 10% when the enemies are standing in the poison. Exploit 3/3. And then Malice 3/3 as well. That's 9% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. Poison Imbuement, you want to have this as high as possible. We have 12/5 here, 7 from either contribution. This is the crutch of our build here. Enhanced Poison Imbuement, so we get that increased duration. And then Blended Poison Imbuement, which is 75% increased poisoning damage. We're taking 3/3 in Precision Imbuement. And then on the bottom section here, we're going to take 3/3 from Deadly Venom. That's 9% increased poisoning damage. Alchemical Advantage, that's just increased attack speed. 3/3 Toxins, that's low damage reduction there. We take 15% less damage from poison enemy. Innovation 1/3 and Alchemist Fortune. We need this because remember, the higher the lucky hit chance, the more likely we are to create that toxic pool below us that gives us infinite damage with the imbuement skills. 3/3 in trap mastery. It's a must, you need it. For our passive, we're taking exposure. Now that dealing direct damage to an enemy affected by a trap skill has a 25% chance to reduce the active cooldown of our trap, okay? We're throwing more traps down, we're dealing more damage to a poison enemy, therefore we're having a higher chance to proc our build, so we need that. For my stats, I kind of want to show you my stat line. Of course, it's a little high here, but I do want to kind of show you what things you should aim for. Critical strike chance is mine's at 33%. I'm not max level yet, so these are going to get higher, but you definitely want to look for high critical strike chance. You want to get critical strike damage. You want to get vulnerable damage. Those are the three main stats that you should be looking for in all your weapons, all your rolls that you can. Get those three things as high as you can. After that, it's all about damage to imbued, with imbued skills, and also the damage with poison. So those are the kind of the rolls that you want to be looking for. If you've stuck around this far, I appreciate you. Make sure to like the video. If you like the content, make sure to subscribe for future content. I'm going to go over my Paragon board here. I am only level 92. I'm not at 100 yet, but I kind of have a rough idea of what we're going for here. We're going to go with combat in the first starter board. The second board, we're going to go Eldritch Bounty. Feel free to pause this so you can kind of get a good look at it. Bane is our first glyph here. That's increased poison damage. So we want that, and we want the additional requirements met. For our third board, it's Exploit Weakness, which is that increased damage to vulnerable enemies. And then I put the Closer glyph there. That's 40% increased cutthroat skill damage. For my third board, it's the Deadly Ambush, critical strike damage to enemies affected by trap skills. And then for the glyph socket there, it's the Exploit socket. Moving down to my final board, it is the Cheap Shot board. And for that, I also went with the Tracker glyph. Now, this is kind of what I have right now. Feel free to pause it, kind of follow the route that I went if you like that. I really don't think it's that optimal, but I did want to share that with you guys just in case so you know exactly what I'm using for these dungeons that I'm running. Now, before I go, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate all the support. I hope you guys are doing well. Make sure to like the video if you liked it. Make sure to subscribe for future content. Follow me over on kick.com/Sekahiro. We're trying to get to 75 followers there. Opening up monetization on that channel would go a long way in allowing me to continue to make content for you guys. I hope you guys are well. Good luck and take care.